Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. My name is Mpho and I've got Tim Delace here with me. It's been an interesting week in South African cricket. We've crowned two four-day series champions, the Northern Cape Heat as well as the DP World Lions in Division One. And so now we will be moving into the CSA T20 challenge. But before we do that, remember, you can follow us at Full Quota Pod on X. Subscribe to the One World Sports Radio channel on YouTube. That's where you'll get us and you'll get everybody else, all the podcasts that are there. On top of that, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to us in audio. If you want to remember all those radio cricket days, we provide that for you. Just search Full Quota Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But before I do anything, I need to say commiserations to Tim. Western Province fought hard, but in the end, the Lions won out. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing fine. That bruised heel of Nandre's. If Nandre didn't have a bruised heel, we would have won.
Keep telling yourself that.
No, but seriously, that was. I tell you what, that was a great game of cricket. That was a game of cricket that we didn't have Rabada. We didn't have Risa Hendricks. We didn't have Nandre Berger. We didn't have David Berthium. We didn't have those star quality guys. And it was still 5 days of quality, high-class cricket. It really was. It's great. Great to see.
Look, if the fielding teams both managed to get all their quota of overs throughout the days, it would have been 4 days. But we're not going to complain. We got to see the fifth day. Another game that I think it nearly got to see a fifth day, but we'll ask the man himself if it did, was the final between the Knights and the Northern Cape Heat in Division 2. And we've got the winning captain with us today to have a chat about that and then his career and everything else to go through, because that was also a very good game there, Tim.
Outstanding game of cricket. I think I predicted the winner. I think I predicted the winner.
Yes, we both went Northern Cape.
Yeah, but it was a close game, and I think there was a time when the Knights could have taken it, but they just didn't quite have it. So Northern Cape get a treble. They've won it 3 times in a row now. That's some serious winning stability there.
Yeah, so we've got the captain of Northern Cape Heat, Ernest Kemm, with us to discuss that, but mostly his career. We're continuing our In Conversation series, so we thought we'd try dovetail it with what happened over the past week. So let's bring him on. Hi, Ernest. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
In other worlds, in American worlds, they call this a three-peat. So congratulations on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So normally when we, I think let's go with that. What makes Northern Cape such a great 4-day series side? Like the red ball is just your thing.
Yeah. It is hard to put your finger on it, but I believe a good balance between experienced players and youth, and just doing it for a long period of time. I guess that's what 4-day cricket's all about. Just continuing doing the basics well throughout the sessions and the days. But I think the experience helps a lot. Just the guys have been there, the guys have done that, and then obviously grooming some of the youngsters to do the same and learn as quick as they can.
That's amazing. We'll come back to the successes at Northern Cape, but from a personal perspective, Ernest, quick one. Obviously, you're born up. You're a man from up here in the north. But how did you get into the game of cricket?
Started at a very young age, about 6-7 years old. Just fell in love with the game. Obviously, my old man was a big contributor to that. Just always willing to take me anywhere, throwing in the backyard. And Willowick was the start of my club cricketing career. Went to a school where the cricket wasn't really a thing, and due to not many people in the school, we didn't have school cricket for that matter. So went to club cricket and really fell in love with the game there, and got coached by Etienne Birkenstock, which helped a lot at a young age.
And how important was that for you in that you didn't have it at school, but you had that grounding at club cricket? How important was that for you later on in life when you became a professional cricketer, do you think?
Yeah, school cricket, I guess it's valuable to have, but in club systems, you start rubbing shoulders with all the cricketers at a young age. You get thrown into the deep end, playing Premier League cricket at a very young age. So tough times back then, harder cricketers and old school cricketers, I'd say. But yeah, just to get thrown into the deep end and just finding your feet wherever you go and learning your trade as you go.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. From obviously they're obviously playing with the older cricketers, but obviously you were in the northern setup or the easterns and coming through that. How did you? What lessons did you take from throughout that journey going through? Because it's really hard to be a professional cricketer in South Africa. Only a few make it in, and coming from age group into the professional semi-pro era. What are the things that you need to make it at that level?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I got asked that a couple of weeks ago as well. And I think not looking too far ahead. You need to stay in the moment, stay with yourself, to stay doing the best things you can do at that moment for the team. And lessons to be learned throughout there is more important at that time rather than looking too far ahead, looking at your future too hard and wanting to jump steps too quickly. To just really abide time and stay in the moment and learn the life lessons that cricket gives you at that moment.
Awesome. Um, I'm sort of about your progression. If we look now, if we were to fast forward, we look at the restructuring under the restructuring of the two divisions. You are the third highest run scorer across the divisions, with an average of 49 at the moment. Um, what are your thoughts on the restructuring in the first place? Because you spent a lot of time um, before that. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on your progression in this new structuring? How good has that been for you?
Yeah, the restructuring has really brought some fresh air to semi-pro stroke Division Two cricket. I think it's really improved the standard with that carrot dangling to go to Division One. So the standard of cricket has definitely improved. I think the way CSA has also structured it with playing with turf balls, playing on fresh wickets, having three different competitions, playing 4-day cricket, and then going into different formats throughout the season has really helped us identify the best 11 for certain situations and formats, but also gives you time to prep for different competitions at different stages. To in the semi-pro days, we played a 3-day, and then on the Sunday we played a 1-day game or a T20. So you really had to juggle your prep, where now you've got a full couple of weeks or whatever the case might be to prep for a certain format, and you've got fresh wickets. You don't play list day cricket on the fourth day, which helps a lot. But like I said as well, that carrot has dangled there for us to go to Division One, and every team in Division Two has really gone from strength to strength, and you can see a lot of teams really competing for that.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's really true. Yes,
that's
Tim?
really interesting about what you say about the pitches. So you are playing on fresh pitches across the formats. That's a really important attribute because it brings out the best in your cricket.
100%. And in the past as well, you had to go to a venue where they were shared the franchise. So
Mm.
you'd always be on the back burners in terms of playing on the side strips, and they obviously have some times where they have to move you to a club venue where the franchise takes preference, which was understandable. But now you've got your home venue, you've trained there full time, um, and you are the team for that venue, which helps a lot.
No, that's really true. I think yeah, from that aspect, I don't think we thought about it. It just improved the game drastically. Um, on your move down to the Northern Cape, how did that come about? And what are the differences between batting in the Northern Cape and possibly batting up here in the North? Because I know a lot of people speak about slightly flatter pitches, but do you, can you give us some first-hand advice?
Yeah, so my move came from so I played at Easterns for about 5 seasons, and then had to make a move to Limpopo for a
Mm.
season. Played there for a season when he just got the semi-pro contracts back in the day. And then I just got married. My wife's based in Bloemfontein, so I was fortunate enough that JP Trichard gave me a phone call on my honeymoon to say, listen, we've got a little opening for you out of Kimberley Sound, and it just all fell into place really. On the wickets, yeah, maybe a bit lower and a bit slower um, than compared to Pretoria and Johannesburg, but there's always something in it for the bowlers, a little bit of turn. But when you apply your trade, you can really be successful.
Interesting. You also have quite a extensive experience of playing in the UK. Was that an important step for your into your progression? Was it important for you to try somewhere else, a completely different country with a different environment?
Yeah.
And how did that sort of come about?
Yeah, I did 6 years in various parts of the UK, which was an eye opener in terms of the cricketing pitches, which we all know is going to be different. But till you get there, different circumstances, playing in rain, playing in some snow, icy
Yeah.
conditions, and then coming on a week where it's just sunshine, and you think, oh, today's my time to fill my boots, and it's a absolute roller or it turns square. So just it can change from week to week, which was an eye opener and very important skill to adapt to and get your head around. I think the most important thing in the UK as well, if you go over as a professional,
Mhm.
is they are so reliant on you to perform with bat and ball. And even afterwards and in the weeks leading up, they're like, pro, you need to score the runs, you need to do the job. If you don't do the job, if the other pro comes off, you're under the pump. So for us to really learn some responsibility and read the situation as a youngster, to take the game deep and win it for your team. That's literally the objective over there.
That's really it's similar to the experience. I think a lot of the guys we've interviewed here is that there's a little bit more responsibility on you to score
Yeah.
runs, and obviously the question, obviously you all relish it because it kind of feels like it's on you. um on slightly off of that, right? From a bowling perspective, right? um did you always want to have something in there, or is it something that you kind of grew into, being a little bit more of a giving yourself a little bit of an all-round aspect? Because most of the times in the past 3 seasons, whenever the Northern Cape needed a wicket, you were the one of the suppliers. And how in a practice day, how often do you practice your bowling?
Yeah, it's something I had to come to terms with to put myself in tougher positions to bowl. Um, and I think I've improved quite a bit. And when I just started bowling spin in high school, some of the senior spinners explained to me that you only find your trade as a spinner at about 28 to 32, somewhere over there.
Mm.
And I could never understand it. And in the last few seasons, I've really come to know my game, come to read the situation a little bit better, read the conditions, what pace to bowl, what lengths to bowl, which batter is lining me up, which fields to set. So I think that all takes a role in my development as a bowler to understand it more, understand your own body, um, and just know when to do what.
That's that's good to know, because I know in T20 it's increasingly that batters with two skills are required. or players with two skills are required, and it's spin is quite a it's a tough art to get right. It's not everyone can just go into spin, but you seem to have found that knack of honing it in, and as you say, age helps a lot.
Oh. No, definitely. I think age plays a part, but also just tapping into players, asking them about your pace that you bowled in the net, about the shape you're bowling, doing a bit of drills with Mark Charlton, finding a little bit of a edge that you can find to be either a little bit more consistent or to get a little bit more out of the wicket on flat wickets that you just need that little bit of turn, little bit of drift or even dip.
Spoken like a true
Talking
spin bowler.
Indeed, indeed. Talking about Mark Charlton, we interviewed him at the sort of the beginning of this restructuring process and about his life down at Northern Cape. What's it like working with him, and what were the discussions that were had amongst the camp after missing out on promotion last season? That must have been a hammer blow at the time.
Yeah, no, I think we were all a little bit ill for a few days. But that is cricket, and fair play to the Tuskers. They deserve to go up. But on Mark, he's been really good. I mean, his record speaks for itself. All the silverware he's got in his cabinet, he's been superb. And I think we all needed the off season just to reflect a little bit and come back with new energies. And the unfortunate thing about last season was that we started ahead. We knew we were front runners, and there was probably only the Tuskers that was in the running, and we failed at the last hurdle. But then this year we knew it was a blank slate again, and we needed to play good cricket from the get-go over three formats, and if we wanted to be in consideration for promotion.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think we spoke to Mark in that December break, and you were ahead at the time, and it looked like you guys were going there. But obviously, and that's what I love about I think Division Two is that it somehow has created a certain urgency element at the top. Even though some of the other teams are trying to get themselves going in terms of what this franchise cricket looks like and everything else, but at the top you had teams there that in any season could always create. And even this year, with the Knights coming down with a younger squad and having them compete at this level, already coming through after the season they had last year in Division One, kind of told the strength of it. And the one thing that Northern Cape always has is that consistency. You're always that team knocking on the door of promotion. And you spoke about the experience. What makes Northern Cape attract so many experienced former Division One players, guys who've been in the circuit for a long time? See Jonathan Van Dier, Grant Thompson moved across. It feels like it's a place with a lot of veteran experience, which is what many youngsters crave elsewhere in the country. But you guys seem to have it in abundance.
Yeah, some might call it the retirement home.
I didn't want to go there. You went.
I just read between the lines. No, I think the Mark Charlton's got a big pull with his reputation and his drive for the team. But I also think the few trophies and the record that we've built up over the last 3 seasons has really been a pull force towards the Northern Cape, and good things coming from the camp, the way we've been playing on the field, the way the kind of people that we are. I think the people enjoy coming here and they fit in quite comfortably.
Moving forward to the next competition, what are the plans within that format? Because it's very difficult to plan, so to speak, over a four-day period. There's a lot of planning going involved. This is a lot sort of faster. Obviously, promotion is on the line. So, what is the feeling about the camp and the plans going forward with this T20 competition?
Yeah, obviously starting tomorrow, we're tackling the SWD at home. For us, just to stay in the moment, don't look too far ahead. last season we got caught up in a little bit of looking too far into promotion and what can happen and what should we do. I think it's important for us to take one game at a time. We've seen this year the likes of the Rhinos, the Impalas, all the teams has been superb at times. And in the T20 format, anything can happen. It happens so quickly, like you said, Tim. If you lose focus for a minute or a ball or a little spell, it could cost you the game. So for us to just stay game for game, ball by ball, and just focus on the task at hand and not look too far ahead.
And from a captain's perspective, right? Obviously, you're moving out of 4-day cricket, you're moving into the T20. How do you prepare for that? How do you adjust it? How different is it from a captaining perspective? Is it a little bit being a little bit more aggressive, or is it still, there's basic principles to this and let's stick to them and we'll be successful at the end?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of just sticking to the basics, but I do believe the way the T20 game's going and watching all the tournaments around the world, there is moments where you've got to identify a situation where you've got to either be a little bit more cautious or really take the game forward and win the game right there and then. If that's in the power play or the 12th over or a bowler that you fancy, I think there is scope for good basics in cricket, but also to identify and be that aggressor and taking the game forward and hopefully securing it for your team.
On a personal level, obviously your 4-day record is the one that is on most people's minds when they think of you, and it's a very impressive record. But do you have a favorite format? Is there a favorite format that you enjoy the most?
Who doesn't like slogging the ball out of the ground? Which I can't do. No, 4-day cricket is definitely my preference. Just going through the ebbs and flow of bowlers bowling with a new ball, coming back with second spells, really grinding them down and doing it over a long time and days at a time. So that really shows the basics of the game, but also some determination and discipline over a long time. So that is definitely I think with even in the field as a captain, setting different fields, trying different options. It's just not plain sailing like T20 where you know exactly where the game's going. It's 120 balls and you're out of there. Over 4 days, you really got to get a batter out. You got to outthink him. You got to outsmart him, outskill him. So all in all, I think that's the true test.
Yeah, no, that is the true test, and you guys seem to have it in abundance there at the Northern Cape, especially at the Red Ball. Looking at your personal future, going forward, what are the goals that you're looking towards the back towards the back end of your career? Obviously, you mentioned getting promoted to Division 1, but are there any other goals that you're looking to get?
Yeah, I think just that's the nice thing about Division 2 cricket at the moment. In semi-pro cricket, you had to put your own hand up and maybe be a bit selfish if needed to be to get elevated to the franchise game where here you can put all your focus and all your energy into your team. And if your team's successful, you'll go up to Division 1. So I think just put all your energy into that. And if the road takes you there, fantastic. If not, we had a great time and we tried our best.
The journey was exciting and we had fun while we went on it. I like that way of thinking.
You've spoken extensively and sort of given me a lot to think about in terms of the changes to Division 2 cricket and the positive ones that we've seen since this restructuring. Is there anything else that if you had a magic wand, you go, yes, I'd like that? Is there anything else that you would like for Division 2 cricket?
In all your podcasts, you ask that. The magic wand, eh?
Yes, we want. Look,
we do.
We're gonna compile a list. Go to CSA. We hope people at CSA are watching. I do know some of them are, and no, because the other thing is giving our viewers a sense of what it is in Division 2, because they obviously have access to the games on YouTube, but they don't necessarily understand what life is for a cricketer there. Because obviously Division One, everyone gets all the nice things and the bells and whistles, but in Division Two, it may not be that case, right? And yeah, it's always good to find out what people think and what could be changed.
Yeah, so I think for a Division Two purely goal, firstly, I'd like a team like the Tuskers or whoever gets promoted in future years to stay up there for a few years and become a household name. I
Hmm.
think that will be just to show that the Division Two is not that far off Division One. And secondly, I actually really hope that the likes of Limpopo and Mpumalanga wins a trophy or two just to bring them up. There's a lot of raw talent out there, fantastic amount of talent and skill. And if that can come through, that is just great for Cricket South Africa overall.
Yeah, look, Limpopo came close. There was that game, that final game of the season, where you guys were playing with them, and it kind of ended up being experience for winning out, which is really awesome. Well, it's good for you. And but we loved that Limpopo had that chance, And cricket's about giving yourself an opportunity, right? And it's giving yourself a chance of taking a wicket, staying in as long as possible for you to score runs. And even from a league format, giving yourself a chance to stay deep into competitions, right? Which to a certain extent, you guys are hoping for, obviously, coming into that CSA T20. And are you that type of batter who gives himself like personal targets, personal goals, like I need to score 550s or whatever it may be a season, or are you that type of cricketer that says let the runs flow?
Yeah, when I was younger, definitely had little targets and goals to achieve. But as time goes on, your focus shifts. It's all about just doing the best for the team wherever they need it, to try to take that selfish feel away from it. If your team needs you to drop anchor, so be it. If they need you to go and go hard, your goals has to be on the back burner. So if you get into form and you can keep scoring in every game and you can contribute, that's fantastic.
Hmm.
But there's so many ways in cricket that you can contribute. You can be the game changer with a run out or a magnificent catch, even if it wasn't your day. So do
Yeah.
not get too down on yourself if you're not really living up to the standards or the goals you wanted to set yourself. So that's why I sort of went away from there, just to tap into the team and see what's in front of you.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's an important lesson. Um, One more question that I always ask, but I won't stuff this one up. Um, your favorite your favorite pitch to bat on, but it can't be your home ground.
It can't be my home ground.
Wait, hold up. But he's also got
But
Supersport Park.
it,
Does that
but
count?
no,
Or
no, it can't be his current home
oh, it can't
ground.
be his
So it
current home. Okay.
Okay.
can't be Northern Cape. It can be anywhere else but Northern Cape.
I've had good success at Supersport Park and Benoni, over the years. That one of my ex home grounds. So I'd have to say it's a tough challenge. It really is. It can be tough for batters to get in, but once you get in, it is very satisfying to bat on there with a bit of pace, and the ball goes to the boundary quite nicely.
Is there a difference between Supersport Park and Willamore Park in terms of the pitch? Obviously, geographically, they're not far apart. So just the.
Mm. Yeah, I always found Supersport Park's got a bit more bounce and it's
Mhm.
a touch quicker as well. Maybe because they've played Test cricket on there, they've maybe done a little bit more rolling and a little bit more preparation on it. But yeah, Supersport Park's definitely a touch quicker. Um, Willamore Park, touch slower. Um, it also turns a little bit more there than at
Mm.
Supersport Park, but it's not too far apart. Um, but I do think Supersport Park with the test venue that they are is probably just the edge above.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Supersport Park is always the fun one.
Yeah,
I'm a Wanderers boy, so yeah, a little bit more bounce.
yeah, definitely.
To add to that. Um, yes. Look, Ernest. I was going to ask you which team you thought was going to win the CSA T20 challenge, but I understand. I know who you're going to say. But what advice would you give any young cricketers coming out of matric, looking to play, and they are apprehensive about Division Two. What can you tell them about Division Two to kind of keep them in the game?
Yeah. Division two, it is proper hard cricket. It's yeah, definitely a step under Division one, and hopefully we can get as close as we possibly can towards that. But it's a fantastic stepping stone to get your career off the ground, to really start learning your trade, learning the game, playing first class cricket, just to get a foot in the door.
Mm,
So a lot of youngsters want to skip the steps and get to all the glamour and but you need to really start from the bottom, learn your route, apply your trade over a long period of time, build a bit of a career, a bit of a record. And I think Hanu is an excellent example. Hanu Viljoen,
mm,
he's given 3 seasons now at the Northern Cape Heat, got a fantastic average, found his way. He's starting to understand how to win games for the team. He's really matured as a cricketer in terms of giving advice, accepting advice, learning how to fail, learning how to succeed, how to be successful, those kind of things. So just to get your foot in the door, learn the way first class cricket and professional cricket's being played, and then progress if that's your journey.
no, that's amazing. Ernest, thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you have all the success in this coming tournament, but also going forward. We'd love to see you playing in Division One. We think Northern Cape is probably the most ready team to stay up, get in and stay up, and I think that's the goal. And my thing is, you never know what will happen. The cricket ball is round, so and that seam, and it can do whatever it wants. So,
Exactly.
and that's what life is, right? So, sometimes the ball will land on that seam and it'll move, or it won't do that and it'll be conventional. But yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on our podcast, and like wish you all the best. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you on our TV screens. This it's not a summer now anymore. It's more like an autumn. But yeah, great. Congratulations on the
It's still
season
summer
that
in
you've had.
Kimberley.
Yeah, some parts of the world is still summer. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Ernest.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and I really enjoy watching your episodes on a weekly basis.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Ernest.
Thanks for the kind
Thanks,
words.
Vince.
Cheers,
Thank you
Ernest.
very much.
Have a good
All
one.
right,
Bye.
cheers. Well, you heard it. Champion captain, Division Two, possibly champion captain of the T20 Challenge. You never know. Remember Northern Cape in that first one, Tim, where they beat the Lions. They made it into the quarterfinals, and obviously then they fell away. And we've been waiting for that T20 side from the Northern Cape. Last year it wasn't great. A bit of a different white ball side, but I think they'll get it right this time. We just want Jonathan Van Dier to become the Jonathan Van Dier of old, and then you might have something with Ernest Kemm at the top. So, yeah, what did you make of that?
It was fascinating. It was fascinating. It was good to learn more about how different Division Two was prior to the restructuring. That for me was a real eye opener. Of course, he's right. It makes sense that when you were in line with the Knights, for example, you became
Mm,
second fiddle. That's just how it was, and that made sense then.
yeah,
But it's much better now that the way that it's set up. So to learn that, and and he's right, the standard has improved in Division Two prior
yes, it has.
to the restructuring. There's absolutely no doubt about it. The Division
Yeah.
Two cricket has improved. So yeah, from that perspective, for me, that was a really good
Mm.
uh, to learn that.
No, no, I loved it. I think, yeah, look, it's always interesting to hear people's different views because we experience things differently, right? And this is a man who's wanting to, who's necessarily not looking for higher honors, and he should be. I think he should be asking for higher honors, and that's obviously being promoted to Division One as an individual. But he's a team man; you can see it, and he wants to go
Yeah,
up with his team, which you got to admire a lot. And he gives you both, right? He gives you batting and bowling. And I think he's one of the guys. If guys in the SA20 were looking for a batter at the top who gives you something else, he was the type of guy. Obviously, from a T20 perspective, his numbers may not be there, but there's something there. There is, and under some different coaching, he could be doing something amazing. But really, really awesome interview there. We wanted to do this interview, Tim, because we wanted to kind of give a preview to the CSA T20 challenge, which Ernest did. He spoke about it and spoke about the Northern Cape heat and everything else. And the great thing for us is that we are going into a period where we're going to get so much T20 cricket. You're going to get women's Division 1 and Division 2 T20 cricket happening in the CSA T20 challenge. The women's edition, and then you'll have Division 1 and Division 2 CSA T20 challenges happening at the same time. And sometimes, if the franchises are if the men's team is playing on the same day as the women's team, you'll get a double header. So there's a lot of things for the fans to come in, and I would encourage you to go to the stadiums. If you don't go to the stadiums, it'll be on SuperSport. It'll also be on the CSA YouTube channel. It might be a double stream. That will be confirmed by the powers that be, but my assumption is that that's what's going to happen, right? And so for us here is to talk about what we think. So like, Tim, when I look at Division 2, I see Limpopo and I look at what they've done in the 4-day and in the 1-day cup. They've won a few games, but this format might be their best chance of actually, as Ernest said, getting silverware, largely because the shorter format, anything can happen. So too with the Badgers, who have had a very indifferent start, but they've got Jean Duplessis, which kind of helps. And then you look at, obviously, they are called Border, but they're not Border. They are the Lanyati down there in East London. Still a very experienced side, similar to Northern Cape. They can also cause a whole lot of problems. You look up north, you've got Easterns. Devon Murray is someone I'm looking to see how he comes through. You've got Gabela Sukukune. You've also got Shane Dadswell in there, who's a T20 specialist, made it into SA20. So there's a lot of teams, and obviously you can look at Northern Cape, look at the Knights. The Knights have these youngsters who were built on T20 cricket. Northern Cape have these experienced players, Jonathan Van Der, Ernest Kemm, Grant Thompson, who played T20s before. They know how to do it. They know how to give yourself. They've also got Joe van Dijk, who I think is an X-factor player in this format with his bat and ball, with his bowling mainly, but with his batting. When I look at this hodgepodge of teams, and every team kind of like has an identity and everything else, what team are you most excited to see in this CSA T20 challenge?
I think it would have to be the Limpopo side, because I think that Limpopo side, particularly from a batting, I think that top six can go into that next gear. I think they can go into that T20 gear mode that you would want them to go into. They are young. They're not stuck within their mold. They're not rigid. I think that's going to be very exciting. I think for them, and I think Mpumalanga. I think Mpumalanga with Yuri Snyman, Herman Wolfes from the SA19 a few years ago, Benjamin van Niekerk. They've also got some guys that can hit the ball, and that's what you need in this format. But I do think both of them will probably, they're going to end up just short of winning the competition, in my opinion. I mean, in theory, of course, they can win it. I just think that the big boys will get it in the end. But I'm very excited to see those teams in particular, because they are of a younger generation, shall we say.
Yeah.
Because they have to go to the younger generation, because as we've been discussing, it takes a lot for a seasoned cricketer to go down towards those sorts of teams. So they've got to rely on that. And then of course the Knights. I mean, the Knights are perennially designed to win T20 competitions with that team.
Yes.
They are designed to win this. Doesn't mean they're going to, but every member of that top 7, I think, smashes the ball all over the field.
Yeah. And you can bring Jacques Snyman into the equation. He hasn't had a great season up until now, but this is what he is, right? He gave us and they won. I think, did they win it a couple of years ago? No, they came second in one. I think they lost to the Titans in the final a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And Jacques Seymour, and obviously they had Riley Rousseau at the time. So that was also Riley's playing for the Knights now. So yeah, it was really, really awesome. Obviously it'll be different now, and that's gonna be quite interesting to see who comes through out of that system. But the teams for me that I'm looking at, obviously Northern Cape and also Easterns, you could say they're slightly the older teams. I just want to see how they will manage the transition, because I look at both of those teams as longer format teams. They've got the experience to beat you and everything else. Can they adapt that experience and be a little bit more aggressive, right? I know Ernest said he wants to be a little bit more cautious, but on the other side is take your moments. Can you be aggressive? Can you start off trying to go, especially in Kimberley, right? 10 runs and over, 12 runs and over in the power play, two boundaries and over. That's the type of thing I'm looking at. Is if you're going to play a majority of your games at home on the flatter pitches, and you could say that a lot of the Division Two pitches are slightly flatter, so they may not have the pace that you'd want, but you can clear the grounds. You can get boundaries there. Obviously, the spin element comes in there, and that's going to be quite key for both sides, right? Because they've got big hitters. Obviously, the question obviously is if you take pace off, what are you going to do? So for me, those are the two teams that I'm looking at. And obviously, Easterns. I'm an Easterns boy. Jeff, come on, give me something. Let me go to Willamore Park and celebrate, Troy, please.
I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried with Easton's boy. I'm a bit worried. I've even looked at
Why?
their coach side. Their coach side
Mm,
lost to Mpumalanga, the Colts. But
yeah.
that's what you get. That's what you
Anything
get
can
your
happen.
youngsters. That's what you get your youngsters. You get them through that system.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried. They got good
Cool.
players. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a
Yeah.
bit worried.
Yeah, no, and then Tim, let's move over to Division One. Obviously, you've got the 8 teams. The Tuskers are going to be an intriguing prospect. Obviously, it brings them in shorter form of the game. Anything can happen, similar to how they beat the Lions in the One Day Cup earlier this year. That type of a situation can arise, right? So
Well,
I don't, I don't think they'll be hoping for that to arise, but from what we've seen from their squad, there's a lot of questions with that squad, right? Yes.
the only thing I'll say is social media photograph of their team had come on Delport as the front picture.
Yes, 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 yeah.
So
Oh,
if he has a phenomenal tournament, they've got a chance.
look,
But yeah, but yeah, they got a chance.
look, Cameron Delport is Mr. T20 himself. So yeah, look, it didn't work out at the Lions last season, but let's see if it works out at the Tuskers. Then let's go to Durban. Durban, obviously, you then have the Dolphins. A lot of the Proteas are back, similar with all the other teams. Maharaj is back, um, fit and ready to go. They've got Sir Brian. They've got Grant Rulofsson. They've got a lot of their seasoned guys in there, right? The only person who's not there is David Miller, but you've got Andile, you've got um, Ethan Bosch, you've got Marks Ackerman, who's had a great season, John Smuts, who had a great SA 20. And then my question for them, obviously, is that the batting's it's not known to be power packed, but it's an opportunity for guys to come in. And for me,
Yeah.
from a bowling perspective, I think they've got it right. We've seen Ogutle is fit now, and he's going to add something else. They're a spin friendly team, and they're going to play 7 games at home. So low scorers and defending everything. If you watch what DSG played in the SA 20, this is what I think the Dolphins are going
Yeah,
to be.
yeah. I totally agree. I think they made a mistake in their team selection, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Marcus, and I'm delighted he was their leading run scorer for the full-day competition. But I think Slade Van Staden should have been in there.
Oh, you want
This
to
is
include the
made.
American,
This is
the
made for
American Slade
Slade.
van Staden. Okay.
This
Okay,
this
Tim.
is
What
made for
about the
him.
South Africans and the opportunities? But no, I've got no issues with Slade. Slade should play. Um, okay, coming
Yo,
into
that was turned.
no, Slade should play. I've got no issues with
Yeah.
that. But some people might, not me. Yeah. So then moving inland, we've got the Titans and the Lions packed with Proteas. We haven't seen the Lions squad yet, but you might get some of the Proteas similar to all the Titans players, Aiden Markram's available, obviously up until IPL starts. So they're going to play the first few games. So you might get guys like Achiso warming up. There's rumors that Gwena might be making it into this line side. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. And there's a lot of SA under 19 talent in there. Lou Andre Pretorius is a Titan. Steve Stolk is a Titan. So you're going to get to see that power packed opening partnership happening right at the top of that order, along with all the other big names that you know at the Titans who've always been there. And the great thing about this is that the Proteas are here. And then so too with the Lions, right? Riza and Rassi come back into the side. That adds a lot of power. They've now found form in the PSL in Pakistan. So both teams very strong. Both teams probably, you could say, outside of the Dolphins, they're the favorites to win. You're going to tell me Western Province, but we'll get to Western Province soon.
There. No, I agree. Again, the Titans are like Pretoria Capitals at SA20. That team is seriously stacked. It's going to be, once the first 3 rounds are over, because it's only for the first three rounds that the Proteas are going to be available. Once that is done, it's going to become a lot more simpler for the Titans. But for those first 3 fixtures, picking that top 6 is going to be a massive headache. I don't think you can fit them all in. But in terms of potential, they've got massive potential. Particularly the Titans.
It's got massive potential. So here, I just want to give the guys here some of the Protea names. You've got Markram. You've got Big Don Ferreira. He's a Protea, so you can't come back and be like he isn't. The current incumbent Test captain Neil Brunt is in there as well. Luandre Pretorius, he's a junior Protea. Steve Stolk, Tibre Shamsi. But Shamsi, I think, is going to play throughout the whole tournament. You've also got Henrik Clausen as well. They have Jack Lees as well as Matthew Boston, Diego Brevis, and Lungi Ngiti. So I feel sorry for whoever's facing the Titans this weekend because they might just see flames. And I think it's the G-Beds Rock, so it's going to be something else. Speaking about the G-Beds Rocks and the Northern and Northwest, similar fortunes, trying not to finish last, because I think if you finish last, you might be relegated out of this, right? And so that's what the Power Rocks are going to be doing. From the team composition, largely similar to what they have. They do have Frisco Adams, who's really, really good. I'm really sad that they no longer have Bamanya Glenla, who's gone to the Northwest Dragons, because I thought he was really good for them in this format. It's going to be interesting to see how they are going to manage this team around. I don't know if Yanaman Malan will come back in. He's looked a shadow of himself in this format. So there's a lot of questions around Paul, which are bad. It's like questions, but the other way. For Northwest, it's questions the good way. Lots of youngsters. Can they translate the great form that they had in the One Day Cup into this? They've always been known as that white ball side. The red ball they struggled with, but from a white ball perspective, they know how to take souls. And now they've got Miguel Pretorius, which is a great catch for them. And then obviously you've got that young batting line. Mikhail Prince did well in the One Day Cup. He's going to be there. Sinokwan is there. So you've got a very great young core where the questions are, can they do it in a T20 format? Whereas the other way, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just hope that Northwest do well, because that is the future. Those guys are the future. Those are the youngsters. Those are the guys coming through. I like a lot of them. I don't know what happened last season. I don't know why it fell off as badly as it did last season. But they've got a nucleus of a very good T20 unit. They've got, if you've got Miguel Pretorius potentially coming at number 7, I think he should come higher, but that's essentially where they're probably going to bat him. You've got a really high quality all-rounder. I think Mikhail Prince is a phenomenal cricketer. They've got some really good talent.
And they've also Caleb Seleka as well, which is a big plus for them.
Yeah, in T20 cricket, you need a spinner. You need a good spinner, and he's that. He's absolutely that. Look, we've spoken a lot about the Power Rocks. We've spoken a lot about them, and they've got so many issues. in the way that the Dolphins will be scoring low and defending, I don't see the Rocks defending. I see them scoring low because they're not playing well. They're not playing good cricket. I don't see them defending. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think Mahima is a very good 220 bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Sean van Berg isn't really. It's not his thing.
It is,
Um,
and that's going to be the question, right? Who's going to be the second spinner? Does Sean play, or do you rest him, right? And in that area, you're going to need that second spinner. So that's going to be quite interesting to see who they're going to bring into that squad as well. And obviously, like who is this? Not Bartman, the other fast bowler that they have, or medium pacer that they have there. I know they've got Hardest for Yoon, but they also have. He has one cap for the Proteas, man.
Steelman.
Yeah, Clinton Steelman. He's also been quite interesting to see how they do it, because they don't have express pace. Obviously, Hardest hits the deck hard, and he's always going to be in and around and cause issues. But it's just that team composition. I'm just worried about it, because outside of you unleashing youngsters and giving youngsters an opportunity, I don't think that they have it in them to even be better than the Tuskers. And in the shorter format of the game, they might be found wanting. So I think
they did unleash Nathan Engelbrecht during the 4-day series when they really, and he looked like there was something there. There was some ability there. I don't know if he'll be able to transfer it to a T20 format, but at least there's some thinking towards bringing in new talent.
Yes, youngsters. Yeah, and that Western Cape region has got a lot of great youngsters. It's just it somehow feels as though everyone sits in the Western Province and they go to the Badgers as some sort of feeder system into Western Province, but it never gets up north to Paarl. So that it needs to be relooked at. And that was one of the things about franchise cricket is, what do the feeder systems look like? And in the Western Cape, it was always centralized. So now they need to find ways to decentralize and get some youngsters in there. Because, for instance, Jean Duplessis deserves to play for the GBet Rocks. He changed them. In the one game they played at the Wanderers, in the 4-day game, he was the best batter there outside of Peter Malan. So they just need to figure that out. But that's it. The last two teams, obviously the two coastal teams, with a lot of promise and a lot of great things. You've got in the Eastern Cape, Stubbsy, Britsky, Kashile, and that crew with Bayer Swanepoel, who's really good. Patrick Kruger's a really, really great acquisition. We saw that in the 1-day cup. Can they translate that 1-day cup form, that 4-day form, into this and actually finally get over the hurdle? Because they're a dark horse for me, very, very sneaky dark horse. Obviously, Tristan is not going to be available for the entire tournament, but obviously Bretsky is still there. Lots of youngsters. Jordan Herman is there. They've had a taste of SA20. That part of the area are double 2-time SA20 champions. What do you see out of there? And obviously the spinners, they've got Alder, they've got Whitehead in there. Can they? Yeah, there's something brewing. I think it's a recipe.
It's a Sunrisers light team. That's what it is. It's a Sunrisers light team. And that's a compliment, because those players that play with that team know what it takes to win a tournament. They know what it takes to win a high-class, proper professional competition. I'm a bit disappointed in the Warriors in general this season. I think they've slipped off quite badly. But they do have, in the T20 format, there isn't much thinking, there isn't much preparation. It's just go out there and play a natural game. And the natural game is designed for these players, as the guys that you mentioned. Their natural ability is very, very high. So they could be, as you say, I agree. I think between the Titans and the Warriors, that could be a very tasty fixture when they come up against each other. I'm very, very excited. Even with Tristan going, I think they're going to be potentially a very dangerous side in this format. Definitely.
Yeah, no. And Bayer Swanepoel as well. All format bowler. As you say, Tim, pace. And he's got it in abundance. And he should get a Proteas call up soon. Finally, your team down in the Western Cape, Western Province. really strong start to the season, right? One day cup champions, tick. 4-day series came up close, second. The same squad, same youngsters coming into this. Verena is there. Tony DeZorzi is there. Nandre Berger is going to be key, is there. Björn Hendricks is a T20 specialist. Or, okay, let me not say this because I don't want to disrespect Björn. Björn plays all formats. But when it comes to this format, Björn Hendricks will make his name any day. He got called up into the purchase for that Australia series because this is what he does. He's got all the skills in the book, right? You're going to have them the full season, right? Then you've got those youngsters, the Kaplans, the Smiths. Not necessarily Eddie Moore. I don't think he's in the squad. But even then, right? You've also got Michali Mpongwana in there, right? To become true champions of the Division 1. How do they do it?
Yeah, for me, this is why that 4-day loss hurts so much, because we had it. We were one leg on it, and there would have been 2 trophies in the season. And those are the competitions that this team is designed for. It's designed for the 50 over and 4-day competition. It's designed for slightly longer cricket. It's designed for playing positive cricket in a good way.
Yes.
But it is not designed for a T20 setup. That is why you're not going to see any more. Daniel Smith is not a T20 cricketer. I love him to bits. And I think he may become that eventually. Kaplan, I'm not sure about either. So
But
all
Tim,
of a sudden,
if I look at Kaplan's hundreds in the 4-day, they were at a high strike rate.
Yeah, but so that's 70. The strike rate of 70. That's fine. I don't know if he's got 130 in him. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just not sure. So for me, we've got too much pressure on Kyle and Tony. If we do well in this tournament, it will be a pleasant surprise. One thing I will say, again, this is not his format. What they will say is while Bedingham is not going to be available at the start, he is going to be available at the back end of this T20 competition.
Okay.
So he is coming to play part of it. But again, he's not the best T20 cricketer. He is a 50 over and 4-day cricketer. So for me, particularly the batting, it is not designed for this format. If they do well, fantastic. I'm not expecting it. The bowling unit can defend low totals. I've particularly if Nandre's back, Buren's there, Simmons is there.
Carl Simmons, yeah.
They can defend low totals with that bowling unit. They can win all 3 formats. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. I'm just a bit worried. We're a bit light in terms of the batting.
Okay.
I hope Johnny Bird comes back. If Johnny Bird comes back and plays, that makes a difference.
Okay, so big question before we go. We've gone through all the teams. Who are the 2 teams in the final, and who wins it?
It's the Titans and the Warriors. Titans, Warriors.
And who wins?
Let's go Warriors. Go on WP. Come on. It's time for WP to win a trophy. Time for him to win a trophy.
Yeah. Okay. I see you. I think my 4 in the semifinals are the Titans, Dolphins, Lions, Warriors. I wouldn't put it past a Lions Warriors final, and I think that might be it. I think that Lions side, from a bowling perspective, might struggle obviously once the tournament goes on. But if you have another whole season, I think he's just gonna step. He's gonna show why he needs to be in America in a few months' time. But I do think the Warriors might take it at the end, and I don't mind it. I think they're very good. But I can't look past the Dolphins, and I can't look past the Titans, because you've got these old heads at the Titans, you've got these old heads at the Dolphins, and it's gonna might come down to who has the best spinner, and that's where the Warriors fall. Right? We've got Bjorn Fortuyn on one end, you've got Shamsi at the Titans with Pangiso. You've also got Subrian and Maharaj, and then you've got Whitehead, Alder, and I don't know who they've been using now in the 4-day series there.
Smitu.
I think CSA T20. Yeah, CSA T20. So that, it's going to come down to things like that. Who's got the better spinner, I think, at the end, and who can play spin better. So I wouldn't put it past. If the semifinals is in Durban, the Dolphins are in the final. If the semifinals up north, whoever's hosting up north will be in the final. And I do think the Warriors will have a home semifinal. So the other three might need to figure out what they want to do. So, Tim, I think let's end it there. Remember, the CSA T20 Challenge starts tomorrow with Division 2. I think Northern Cape play the Badgers in Southwestern Districts, if you want to know who the Badgers are. And then we start on Friday, and it's 56 fixtures in the Division 1 plus 3 for the final. And then you've got a whole host of fixtures in Division 2. I haven't had time to count them. I'll count them next week and I'll let you know what the number is. But it's all going to be available either on CSA's YouTube channel or on Supersport. So just listen out and whatever it is. Yeah. But also, some teams are giving away free money. If you catch a 6 with one hand, you're going to get money depending what stadium you're in. If you're in Pretoria, you get a share of 15,000. If you're in Joburg, it's 20K. So yeah, please do go to the stadiums, like 20 rand a ticket. Let's support the guys. It is the best of our domestic without the Proteas. But the most important thing is it's the end of a beautiful, beautiful cricketing summer for South Africa. And I think that deserves to be celebrated more than anything else. Outside of that, remember, please do follow us on Full Quarter Pod on X. Subscribe to the One World Sports Radio YouTube channel. And also Spotify at Full Quarter Podcast. Remember that. And Apple Podcast reviews, rate. Please, please, please share as widely as possible. Let's grow this podcast platform. Let's grow South African cricket. This is our way of doing that. And we appreciate the support. Outside of that, from Tim and myself, it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso. If I can find the video.